double duty.
No, it could blow up. We gotta be careful, hey.
2 massive fires in just 2 days for the Cleveland Fire Department. Marissa Saenz explains what's next. And it's time to beat the summer heat. Cleveland firefighters are up for the challenge. We'll show you the tools they use to keep crews cool and safe. Vax-A-Million is proving that money is a great motivator.
Nothing better than handing somebody, cold hard cash for doing something, or in this case, doing very little.
Will Ewick explores the psychology behind giving incentives in exchange for COVID-19 vaccination. And the final installment of Bomb City.
It was thought that we will never really successfully prosecute these cases because there was no evidence of who did what.
Rachel Polanski introduces us to the mafia kingpin who turned on his own.
From the WKYC studios, this is What's Next.
Good evening, I'm Betsy Kling. Russ Mitchell has the night off.
And I'm Sarah Shookman, and tonight, 2 major fires in less than 24 hours here in Cleveland. One fire on the city's west side, nearly destroying 2 houses this afternoon. The other breaking this time last night on the city's east side, shutting down a popular health clinic indefinitely. Marissa Saenz reports.
No, it could blow up. We gotta be careful, hey.
Chaotic scenes back to back. A massive fire engulfing the Neon Hub Clinic Wednesday night on Cleveland's east side.
For my daughter, it would probably be one of those things where she's got to find another place to go.
The clinic, a place neighbors use daily.
A lot of people depend on that clinic. The parking lot is usually full on a daily basis.
For all kinds of medical purposes, including COVID-19 vaccinations.
Fortunately, we were able to work with our clinical team, our medical team, to secure those items.
An electrical fire starting just before 9:30, spreading to the roof of the clinic. The building today not fit for patients. Just how long it will stay that way, unclear.
Once we get more information and, of course, the final report, we will be in a better position to be able to determine exactly how long. Because we have such a large network, we're able to direct our patients to our other locations, which are nearby.
And tonight, another fire happening just after 7 o'clock. The fire department saying that it started at this brown house and then spread to the blue house next to it. 45 firefighters called to the scene of 2nd and 34th on the west side. Cleveland's fire chief reporting no injuries, but says an investigation is underway.
We can't confirm that nobody was inside. Basically, right now, we're saying that it's vacant, but it's still being under investigation. Currently, right now, we've got our fire investigators on scene to make the determination as far as the cause and origin.
Marissa Saenz, 3 News.
Well, we checked with Cleveland Fire, who told us all the firefighters are doing okay after battling those 2 fires in the heat and humidity we're experiencing. Since the warmer weather can present a challenge, crews are trained to remain hydrated and ready for the conditions. The department's rehab unit is one key, a large truck that provides an air-conditioned space with Gatorade and snacks to help refresh and recover.
And 3 News has learned that it was the last night on the job for one of those Cleveland firefighters working the Neon Health Center fire on Huff Avenue. Yesterday was the last shift for John McLean Jr. of Cleveland Fire Tower 10. He's retired now after 30 years of service with the city, and the department tells us McLean was a good example for younger firefighters, a true mentor. Congratulations to him. In other news tonight, a Cleveland police officer who shot and killed a man last year while off duty will not face discipline for his actions. 22-year-old Desmond Franklin was shot and killed back on April 9th, 2020, after an altercation with Officer Jose Garcia. Again, he was off duty at the time. The city announced just this afternoon that an administrative review found that Garcia, quote, did not violate any Cleveland police policies, rules, or regulations when he shot and killed Franklin. The Ohio Attorney General also conducted a criminal investigation, but a grand jury declined to file charges in the incident.
Well, new tonight, President Joe Biden is praising the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The president spoke from the White House shortly before the ceasefire was set to go into effect in Gaza, where Israel has struck hundreds of targets, retaliating after Hamas fired thousands of rockets into its territory. The 11 days of violence left 200 people dead and dozens of buildings destroyed. The Senate could vote as early as next week on House-passed legislation to create an independent commission to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. But it is still unclear whether at least 10 Republican senators would support the bill, the threshold needed to move it forward. This could be the first bill this year to be blocked by a filibuster.
Well, masks are coming off in many cities and counties throughout the state, but there's still a high risk of community spread throughout Ohio, and the state's health department released a map that shows it. Laura Queso takes it from here.
This map has guided us through the pandemic. Each county colored. Purple means severe spread. As of May 13th, there's still high exposure across the state. The color red means people should limit activities as much as possible. Summit County is still in the red zone, yet there's no mask order in place in most public areas.
It's probably an all right time to cut back, but you still have to understand, vaccinated people are not really the worry. It's the unvaccinated that need to be very, very careful.
Governor DeWine lifted the state's mask order Monday for those who are vaccinated, following guidance from the CDC.
It is time. It's time to end the health orders.
Effective June 2nd, Governor DeWine says all restrictions will be lifted in the state.
In the current governor's order says that if you are unvaccinated, you should continue to wear a mask, socially distance, and isolate.
Summit County's Health Commissioner Donna Skota says there is still community spread, and there are still children and others who can't get vaccinated yet.
We have over 100 cases per 100,000 persons.
Yet incentives like the Vax-A-Million seem to be working. Skota says the time is now, the hope, to move the county out of the red zone.
The best thing you can do right now is go get vaccinated.
As for the city of Akron, City Council voted to rescind an ordinance that requires everyone in public places to wear masks. As for the city of Cleveland, Mayor Frank Jackson extended the city's proclamation of civil emergency, which includes a mask ordinance, through May 31st. As of now, Betsy.
I know a lot of folks, though, are very happy we're at least moving in the right direction. All
Exactly.
right. Thank you so much, Laura.
Sure.
Well, it's now been a week since Governor DeWine announced that vaccinated Ohioans would get a shot to win $1 million, and new numbers show the incentive seems to be working. But whom is it working on, and is there something else that could sway those set against the shot? Will Ewick breaks down the psychology behind the Vax-A-Million tonight.
We really haven't seen anything like this. This is not the typical minimal investment. Couple bucks, you get a ticket, and you wait around and see what happens.
It was a bold strategy, rewarding vaccinated individuals in the state with, in a sense, lottery tickets. But from the psychology perspective, the incentive does, and always seems to work.
In our culture in particular, there is very little that is as reinforcing to us as humans as money.
And that potential money has worked, as first-shot vaccinations from ages 16 and up jumped nearly 30% after the announcement.
I think it's the people who were on the fence, somewhat apathetic about it, maybe somewhat just not really invested one way or another, and this was, doesn't cost me anything.
Now, when it comes to those that are set against the vaccine, Dr. Sacco says he's optimistic that some may be swayed by the data as it continues to come in. But there's also a chance others may change their mind if a neighbor or relative ends up $1 million richer.
When we have knowledge of someone who has won something, absolutely it reinforces the idea that, well, man, if they won, that's certainly a chance for me.
Overall, 43% of Ohioans have at least one dose of the vaccine, with more than 1 million entering the $1 million drawing. But even as the odds of winning goes down with each shot, the odds of the state getting to herd immunity and back to normal continues to go up.
It really is a win-win for those of us that are vaccinated because, yeah, we may not have as great of a chance, but that's because more people are getting vaccinated, and that feels pretty good too.
This incentive program is working so well that already several other states are following Ohio's lead, with New York and Maryland, Sarah, today announcing that they are doing a similar lottery program in their states.
I heard New York doing scratch-off tickets. This is just, let's see where it goes. All right, well.
Take your chances. Yep.
Thanks so much. Still ahead for us tonight, part 3 of our exclusive series, Bomb City, USA, continues with a look at the fall of one of Cleveland's top crime bosses. And done deal, Cleveland State University locks in its head basketball coach for years to come.
Friends, we made it to 88 degrees today. Now, if you'll remember back to early last week, we were running 15 to 20 degrees below average. Today and the next couple days, 15 to 20 degrees above average. We'll put some numbers into the forecast straight ahead.
What's Next is sponsored by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
He was the last Cleveland mob boss to elude law enforcement, while others wound up dead or behind bars.
Tonight, in the third installment of our exclusive series, Bomb City, USA, 3 News investigator Rachel Polanski examines the fall of mobster Angelo Leonardo and how he became an informant crushing organized crime families from Cleveland to New York.
He was one of the untouchables, heir to Cleveland's crime family. Angelo Leonardo made his bones as a teenager after he avenged his father's death.
Angelo was the guy, so he knew everybody.
She, on the other hand, was a carpenter's daughter. Donna Congeni Fitzsimmons was 5 feet tall, maybe 100 pounds. In the courtroom, the patriarchy smirked. An opposing attorney called her a naive lawyerette.
And they were not that receptive to a woman becoming the lead prosecutor on a case like this. But it really worked to their detriment.
After years of bombings and indictments, the Cleveland Mafia had weakened, but Big Ange Leonardo was still standing strong when that young federal prosecutor, who is now a Rocky River Municipal Court judge, took on the Mafia kingpin.
It was thought that we will never really successfully prosecute these cases because there was no evidence of who did what.
She came to court shattering glass ceilings, ignoring death threats, and she had a star witness, mobster turned informant Carmen Zagaria.
In June of 1980, while Bostic was walking down the stairs of Zagaria's West Side pet store, Zagaria says McTaggart shot him twice in the head. When he went down to look, Zagaria told jurors, Hans in his right hand had this cleaver, and he was chopping at Bostic's left hand.
And in January 1983, Congeni Fitzsimmons nailed her landing with a sweeping verdict.
The Cleveland Mob's second in command, Angelo Leonardo, guilty. Joe Gallo, his lieutenant, guilty. Kevin McTaggart, guilty. Hans Grave, guilty.
We're very pleased by the results. We really had a great jury. They were very conscientious, and we think the result was justified by the evidence.
She credits her team, including FBI agent Bob Frederick, for delivering the evidence that swung the jury.
We worked tirelessly. We just never stopped because we were so motivated by, knowing that we had a chance to do something really important.
And what happened in that Cleveland courtroom would impact the 5 crime families of New York. Facing a lifelong prison sentence, the aging Leonardo was ready to cut a deal, and Frederick was there to offer one.
I said, look, and then I gave him my business card, and I said, if you ever need a favor, give me a call. I think we can work something out for you. He called me a week later. He said, I think I want to do business with you guys.
Now another young prosecutor was about to win instant fame. That man was Rudy Giuliani.
These are extremely dangerous individuals. They are people who have destroyed the lives of other human beings.
A few months later, Leonardo, hidden behind a screen to shield his face, became the first sitting mafia boss and the highest-ranking mobster to flip.
My name is Angelo Leonardo. I am 77 years old, and I am a member of the La Cosa Nostra.
With that, the New York and Cleveland Mafia was forever crippled. As for Leonardo, he died quietly in his sleep at the age of 95, but not before he left Bob Frederick with one parting gift.
And Angelo is on the stand there, and he's testifying against the bosses, and he's testifying against the enterprise itself. And at the bottom here, he wrote on this, Bob, you made this possible, Angelo.
And while that wraps up our series, it does not wrap up our coverage. You can now check out Bomb City USA, the podcast, just launched today, wherever you get your podcasts. Rachel Polanski, 3 News.
These have been so interesting, and if you're craving more about this fascinating part of Cleveland's history, as Rachel said, you can find it in the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you find your podcasts. Well, 11:17 now, and Betsy, I feel like we have been spoiled to the point where now we start to get a little antsy. We start to say it's hot. We start to want the air conditioning on, and it's only been this way for what, 2 days?
Right, and you said little Isla got her splash table or whatever.
She's got the splash table going, She keeps saying hot, but in fact the water is very cold from the hose.
Anything you can do to keep cool. And please don't forget your pets, too. It's very important to make sure they have plenty of water in a nice shady spot because we have another hot day coming tomorrow. It's going to be warm and bright to begin. Temperatures are going to be in the mid-60s at the start and quickly warming up. We'll probably be in the 80s by midday and upper 80s once again. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to be tiptoeing toward the records as we get into the afternoon. Still well into the 60s in Northeast Ohio. Now, keep in mind, we are not sitting with tons and tons of humidity at this point. Our dew points are in the 50s, which is where we kind of start to feel that humidity, but it's not oppressively muggy. So these are the comfortable kind of numbers that we can handle when it comes to summer. It will get more humid in the coming days. We do have a bit of a change that's very slowly going to be moving our direction, but the dew points will be up into the 60s, especially this weekend. So it's going to start to feel a little bit sticky around here. We'll be inheriting this plume of moisture that is going from coast to border. You can see from deep south all the way up into Canada. These dark greens, that's where you get those dew points that are in the 60s and even the 70s. This whole batch of air, this whole soupy tropical air mass will slowly begin to slide to the east, but nothing is moving anytime soon, and that's because we don't have any real forcing mechanisms that's coming in and blasting through. Typically we would track a storm complex or some kind of a storm system that would keep things moving along, but we're in a very stagnant pattern right now. One storm system in the west, big high out over the east coast in the western Atlantic, and that's just pushing all of this humidity northbound. Now, that being said, it's a storm system from the north that's going to pinch things just a little bit, and that looks to take place on Saturday into Sunday. So here's your National Designer hour-by-hour forecast. Big scale here. There's the plume. Notice how that rain keeps moving northbound, but by the time we hit tomorrow evening, we really have not seen any change. So we have another 24 hours of this pattern coming in. But you can kind of see how these rain showers and thunderstorms here are elongated from west to east. Watch as we get into Saturday and then Sunday. There's just a little push that starts to make things move a little bit farther south. We'll have a little wave possible late Saturday that could pop a few isolated showers and storms. We'll have a better chance on Sunday. The weekend is still not looking like a washout, though. As a matter of fact, I think it's looking pretty nice by summer standards. 89 for tomorrow. That is toasty, and it's going to be quickly moving into the 80s. Right to about the noon hour. So it's a quick jump that we have in your National Designer hour-by-hour forecast. Those southerly breezes with us. And yeah, we are going to be pushing toward the records. Matter of fact, I think Cleveland stands a very good chance to tie the record high. Mansfield in Youngstown, even down into tropical Dover and New Philadelphia, and the Akron-Canton Airport area will be very close. So we're tiptoeing, if you will. Here's your Union Home Mortgage forecast. You can see the heat is not going anywhere. We're staying in the mid and upper 80s as we move through. It's not going to be 83. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to be much warmer than that. But anywho, the long range forecast, as you can see, we kind of take temperatures down into the 70s next week. And for the start of Memorial Day weekend, Sarah, things are looking dry. We're going to keep an eye out for some isolated storm chances. But right now, fingers crossed, things are looking pretty good.
Let's hold on to that. All right. Thanks, Betsy. Coming up, Dennis Gates is going to be staying at CSU a little while longer, while the Vikings head coach signed a contract extension. Jimmy's next in sports.
This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Serra Auto Park in Akron.
Hi, everybody. It was a great day over at Cleveland State University today, and well-deserved. Dennis Gates, their outstanding young basketball coach, he got a contract extension today for an amazing job that he has done in rebuilding that program in a short period of time, 2 years. And he'll be around through the 2026-2027 season. He got very emotional at his press conference today. Imagine this, 41 years old. He's been the Horizon League Coach of the Year 2 years in a row. They won the Horizon League this past year and went all the way to the NCAA tournament. Well done, Dennis Gates, and he looks to do even more.
This summer will be the first time that we have individual workouts. I'm looking forward to that. I got the job in August of 19. Last summer, we had a pandemic. Didn't allow us to even work with our guys. This summer, we can do that. And it doesn't happen without our leadership, our resocialization committee, and obviously the campus.
Boy, they have a good thing going over there. All right, the Indians are back home. You know, the West Coast trip, it was okay. They won the last 2. They went 3-4. They had a tough spell where they lost 4 in a row. They'll be back in action coming up tomorrow night. Now, they beat the Angels last night by a score of 3-2. So they're 2.5 games behind the White Sox in the Central Division. Not too bad. They come home, and on tomorrow night at Progressive Field, they begin a weekend series against the Minnesota Twins, who had to play 2 today against the Angels. They lost the first game, won the second game. They are a major disappointment, though, in last place in the division, and they were a preseason favorite to win the division. Tristan McKenzie will pitch for the Indians coming up tomorrow night. I guess you could say in Jacksonville today, it was tight end day for Urban Meyer and his Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's why. Luke Farrell, do you all remember him? He played at Ohio State. Do you all remember him? He played and comes from Perry. He played at Perry High School. He was recruited by Urban Meyer and then drafted by Urban Meyer, leaving the Buckeyes and going into the NFL with the Jaguars. So that's one tight end. But how about they went back into the way back when machine and signed another tight end? Tim Tebow is back in the NFL. Now, if you look through the maze there, he's number 85. Now, he's a tight end this time around. Remember, in college, and of course, in his NFL career, he was a quarterback. He hasn't played in the NFL since 2012. Amazing. The PGA Championship, round number 1 today. It teed off today at Kiawah Island in South Carolina. Canadian Corey Connors leads after day 1. He shot 5 under. He has a 2-stroke lead. The players are not battling the course there. They are battling the wind there at Kiawah Island. Let me just say tonight, I am a thorn alongside 2 roses and just scored some excellent brownie points.
I'm not allowed to touch you or I'd give you a shove. Oh, shucks.
Jimmy. Yes, really. No mas.
No. I love you, but I don't love you that much.
Thanks, God. Up next, we're going to talk more signs of summer around the CLE after the break. Well, it is days like today that make you almost forget about the long, hard Cleveland winters. This was the view earlier at the East 55th Street Marina, where people got out today enjoying the heat, the sunshine, the fishing, or just taking a walk along the lake shore or resting under the trees.
We had over an inch of snow 10 days ago. Let's keep that in frame of reference, too. You know, another sign of summer, the Coast Guard stations at Ashtabula and Lorraine will be opening a week from today for the summer recreational boating season. The Coast Guard reminds boaters to always wear a life jacket. And remember, lake water is still pretty darn cold right now, so you want to stay out of it until it warms up.
I think if you dip a toe in at Edgewater right now, you'd remind yourself real quick.
Yeah, not exactly pleasant, certainly. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
As 3 News Go starts at 4:30. Have a great night. Tomorrow's Friday.